What's up, guys? Silvr Sage answering questions about the album Hyperfocus, which is out in stores. If you want to check it out, here we go. Can you explain the creative process of creating your first album? So what's different about creating an album versus just one single is I got to bounce around a lot. So if I kind of got bored from a track, I'd move on to the next. So there's always something to do. At the same time, that can be overwhelming. So I did have a hard time finishing a track and just putting it behind me. Who are your musical influences? A lot of my influences stem from dance music as well as genres beyond dance music. Obviously, Deadmau5, Eric Prydz. Those are guys that can move you with 3 or 4 notes. I grew up listening to bands that were heavy on synthesizers. So The Killers, my favorite song by The Killers is Jenny Was a Friend of Mine. Very heavy on the synth. Shiny Toy Guns was another band that I liked. I was instantaneously drawn to their music. But I also listened to bands like the Foo Fighters, the White Stripes, Sum 41. What digital audio station do you use? I use a very ancient form of FL Studio. I guess I'm afraid of change. If you had to choose 3 artists to collab with, who would they be and why? I'm a guy that likes to work alone, but there are special moments, special instances where I wouldn't mind working with somebody else. I have collaborated with Joe Chasm, a great guitarist. We worked together on some intro themes for some podcasts like Tubular Teens with Titans, which we released a full soundtrack album. We also collaborated with Keisha Sounds, who laid down some amazing vocals on the Tubular Teens with Titans intro. Would you ever experiment with other genres of music? Well, in this album, I definitely ventured out a little bit. I did try to produce funk somewhat successfully. Track 8, Slow Mar and the Barefoot Bandit. It's very different than your typical funk, but it was a lot of fun making. Originally, I wanted to make a track that sounded like Rez from Mousetrap, with the glasses. Was first going for that, and then I was like, you know what, this can kind of be a funk track, and I just went along with it. Definitely would love to make more orchestra type of music, just to be able to help score some media productions, podcasts, shows. I have done some of that. It's very heavy on the electronic side, which I don't mind, of course, but it would be nice to have it a little more, I guess, organic sounding. But that would be cool to do. Coincidentally, next question is, can we get some more funk? Probably, yeah. It was a lot of fun making it, and maybe even I'll include some of my own vocals, since I could just distort them so bad you won't even recognize it's my vocals, because you don't want to hear any of my vocals. Can you play any other instruments? So, well, at least not to the degree where I can play it live. Obviously, I can play some piano, but that's why I got into music production, where I don't have to play things live. I can do things live, play with MIDI or fade parts of a song in and out. But to play a traditional instrument like piano or guitar. Quick, your favorite song from your childhood, and go. Rhythm is a Dancer, for sure. All my siblings are a lot older, so they would be jamming to that and like freestyle, like Stevie B and all that stuff. Rhythm is a Dancer, still to this day, holds up. People are remixing it and stuff. And do you plan on hosting mini concerts or live shows in the future? That would be nice. Now, I don't have that much experience with live performances. It would be nice to. It was at a festival to play at the little corner stage where nobody goes, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. That would be fun. What song from the album did you enjoy making the most? Firebird was probably the funnest one to make. It's got that synthwave feel. Again, synthwave is just so much fun. Very freeing and liberating to work on that track. That's what attracts me to synthwave, is there's so much you can do with it. So many directions you can take it, just because synth music is just in your face, and it's very freeing to make synthwave. What song from the album took the longest to produce? Slow Mar and the Barefoot Bandit. It was one of the first tracks that I started and one of the last ones to finish. At first it was like getting the vocal right. First I recorded my own vocals and it did not fit. And then towards the end, just getting that 808 right. And the 808 had to be distorted, but like not too distorted. That was a struggle too. It's a staple of the genre to have stuff distorted, but I was like, oh, cool. So I could just go nuts and crank the gain on everything. It's not that simple, but I'll definitely get around to making more funk and maybe fine tuning that skill a little more. What is your favorite song from the album? Definitely Unmasked. It is the first track that I started with on the album, and it's the first one that plays on the album. It's track number 1. I got pretty much the meat and the potatoes of the track down in like an hour or two, which is fast for me, you know, starting from scratch with no idea what I wanted to do. It says a lot, even though there's just one word in the lyrics, but I feel like that track says the most out of all the tracks on that album, if you listen closely. How did you come up with the cover art and the name for the album? At first, Unmasked was going to be called Hyperfocus, but then I was like, no, that's not fitting. It became Unmasked, and then the album itself became Hyperfocus. I knocked out that album within a month and a half. That was unheard of. I'd usually spend 3 months on one track. I knocked out 10 tracks in a matter of 6 weeks maybe. Definitely hyper-focused and got that bad boy out. The album art, I'm obsessed with the font Plaza. Ever since I played Sonic the Hedgehog 3 as a kid, they used that font in that game. I was like, I want this font to be my thing. I want it to be synonymous with my brand. You know, I'm still working on a logo, but I definitely want to use that font in the logo. Sure enough, I used the font in the album with that little light glare that's in the O of Hyperfocus. That was my wife's idea, and then she's like, you know, that would be really cool if it was in the O, and I'm like, you know what, yeah, let's do that. So I got that idea from her with Silvr Sage on the top in purple. It's not my favorite color, but the color purple has gained my respect. Learning about what the color purple meant, it was synonymous with royalty. Why was that? Is because it's not really found that often in nature. My favorite color is blue, but purple is what blue wants to be in a sense. You know, a lot of the synthwave aesthetic has a lot of purple in it. Purple is just a very ethereal color. You know, think Prince. He was all about that purple. That's all we have for today. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know if you have any questions, and go ahead and give the album a listen. Take care.